Hey Internet, Harris here. It's been way too long since I've made a video, but I feel like I've got a good video to come back to. This is the new iPad mini 6th generation. So in this video I want to talk about if this is potentially right for you as a student and my experience using this for the past couple weeks as a senior at Boston College. Let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, so just like the previous iPad mini, the reason that I love this is obviously because of how small it is. This is something that can fit in my oversized front coat pocket of my winter coat. Now in the summer this isn't fitting in any pockets, but it's super cool to be able to fit this into a coat pocket in the winter nonetheless. Despite having a larger screen than the previous iPad mini, this does have a slightly smaller body, and that's because they shrunk the bezels, they got rid of the home button, and they put Touch ID on the top of the iPad just like the iPad Air 4. And this shares the same design as the iPad Air and the iPad Pro with the rounded corners and the almost full screen display, as well as the speakers on the top and bottom and USB-C, and of course the flat edge which can charge your Apple Pencil, which is fantastic. Apple finally brought the 2nd generation Apple Pencil to this iPad, which means no more charging it by sticking it into your iPad, no more losing it. You have a strong magnet that securely attaches to the side of the iPad. So in terms of the size, this is just incredibly easy for walking around campus with it in my hand or my oversized coat pocket, or even the smaller pockets and compartments of my backpack or my camera bag, or really anywhere else I'm going. This can go with me without any issues. When I'm taking notes in class and I have a small desk in front of me and a book that I'm referencing while I'm taking notes, it's amazing to have a device that's almost the size of the book itself to take notes with. Makes it really easy to have both of them on the table at the same time, or really even if I have the book open, to have the iPad just on the side of the book as I'm taking notes. For both good and bad, a lot of your textbooks are going to be bigger than this iPad. Now, as I said with the past iPad mini, the screen size makes it really ideal for reading. It's not big and cumbersome like the full-size iPad, but it's not tiny like your iPhone either in terms of reading. So if you're pulling up the Kindle book or the Libby book and downloading some free ebooks from your library or your school library or a PDF or anything like that, it makes reading really enjoyable on this screen size. However, this is obviously much more expensive than a Kindle and doesn't have the e-ink properties. But for a general purpose reading device, this makes reading really nice if you're somebody who already uses a lot of ebooks or knows that they are going to try them out. There's a lot of free ebooks out there and a lot of libraries that you can download them complimentary. So that's really great if you're trying to get reading done on this iPad. And there are a couple other prominent features of this iPad mini that makes me really like it as a student. One, its small package still has all of the same features as your full-size iPad, pretty much. Anything that your iPad Pro can do, this can as well. So that can be software features such as pairing a Bluetooth keyboard or a mouse or a trackpad with this, but it also includes the USB-C ports. So if you want to plug in a USB-C hub, you can do that, and now all of a sudden you have a headphone jack, a USB port, an SD card, another USB-C port, and HDMI. So if you want to connect this to a monitor to work on a paper, or plug in a flash drive and access some pictures or video, or work on a project, or you want to put in an SD card to transfer some photos, you can do that with this iPad mini. You can take this on the go and maybe edit some photos using different photo editing applications on your iPad, or whatever the circumstance may be. It's really nice to be able to have USB-C on this iPad. Additionally, you have the full array of iPadOS 15 features. So the same multitasking that you can do on the iPad, you can do on here. This means side by side, drag and drop from one app to another. It means having 3 windows open. It means having 4 windows open if you want a picture-in-picture video. It means all the Apple Pencil features. It means the Quick Note feature. It means a lot of really handy features that a full-size iPad can do, just in a more portable body. You're not really compromising on any software features with this iPad, even going as far as the new front-facing camera with its super wide-angle view, as well as the center stage for tracking your movements if you're on a FaceTime or Zoom call, if you so desire, and a nice rear camera with a flash this year if you want to record some shots for class or a project or whatever you're working on, or just want a good camera for some 4K video. And I mentioned reading on this, but I also really like giving lectures using this as my notes page in front of me, or if someone else is giving a talk, using this essentially as a notepad, just using the Apple Pencil to tap the screen, which will instantly pull up a note, and then I can start note-taking right on that screen, and this feels awesome for note-taking. It's not super big, so you can take notes on the go, and it's a really powerful tool for that. Now, of course, I have to talk about the Apple Pencil and note-taking experience. You have access to all the same apps as any other iPad, so that's Notability, GoodNotes, Nebo, OneNote, Apple Notes, and more. And the Apple Pencil 2 works very well with this iPad, although it does not have the ProMotion display of the more expensive iPads, so the writing experience is not as smooth as it could be, but if you don't know what you're missing, you probably won't care too much. The screen is definitely on the smaller side, which means that notes are going to feel more like a notepad than a notebook, but most note-taking apps can let you magnify the display when you're taking notes, so it's not a big deal. I really only come into issues with this if I'm trying to take notes while in split screen, because at that point you just have a very small canvas, but otherwise note-taking is pretty good. And if you don't want to spend all the money of an Apple Pencil, you can get the Logitech Crayon for $40 cheaper, or you can get one of these third-party styli from Amazon or wherever for like $30, and it gets the job done without quite the precision or the double tap or wireless charging features, but it's still magnetic and works really well. So I'll leave some links down below. Now those are all the pros of this iPad. There are still several cons. The first thing would be that this is basically not designed to be used with a keyboard, because almost any keyboard you're going to be using is going to be significantly bigger than this option, which also means no keyboard trackpad cases like you get for the full-size iPad that can really turn it into a little computer when you have a trackpad built right into your keyboard. Something I love using my iPad for is not just taking notes with my pencil, but using a keyboard and typing papers, typing notes, responding to emails, all these things. Those are all much more cumbersome with this iPad. I see this much more as a device to be used with kind of no accessories or just a pencil, because the keyboard just isn't convenient with this small sized iPad. And secondly, with the previous limitation of not really being a keyboard designed device, at least not in my use case situation, this is $499, which I think is really expensive, and that doesn't include a keyboard. It doesn't include the $129 Apple Pencil. It doesn't include anything else. That's pretty pricey for this device. I mostly see this as a secondary device, something that's going to complement your iPad, so you can take some handwritten notes as you type something on your Mac, or to read and pull up something on your iPad while you have something else on a different device. So for $499 for the 64 gigabyte model without the Apple Pencil and without adding the extra cost for 5G if you want that, I think that's pretty expensive, and I'm not really a big fan of that starting point. If this was something that I think could be a dedicated device, I think I would go for that price point, but this seems like a bit of a luxury product compared to something more economical like the budget iPad, or just going all in for the iPad Pro and having that replace a laptop. That's not how Apple thinks. Apple does think in terms of pairing devices together, and if that's the case, then this is a good pairing device or complementary device for your Mac or for your iPhone or whatever the circumstance may be, even for maybe your larger iPad, I guess. And it does have all the functionality of a bigger iPad, just pretty much without the comfortable usage of a trackpad or keyboard for typing and navigating your iPad in that way. But if you're somebody who's always liked the feel of a small notepad for taking notes, this is very capable. You can get GoodNotes, you can get Notability, you get Apple Notes and Apple Mail and Safari and good multitasking, and USB-C for connecting any devices that you want to this iPad. It's a really solid device, it's very fast, and it's very flashy. However, I personally think it's a little bit expensive for what I view it as a secondary device. This would not be replacing my full-size iPad just because of those limitations that I mentioned. But I think for a lot of people, this could be a really good device. And I'm curious to see what you think, what your use case scenario for this iPad is, and more. Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.